There is a magical connection between the wall and the sworn brothers of the Night's Watch. An example of this is the use of the BlackGate. If you aren't familiar with the BlackGate, it's where Cold Hands led Samwell Tarly, Gilly and her baby so they could pass through the wall at the Nightfort, which also allowed Bran and his party to pass through the opposite way. Now, despite being called the BlackGate, it isn't actually black at all. It's a white weirwood tree with a face. When Sam leads Bran to pass through the gate, he describes the following. The face was old and pale, wrinkled and shrunken. It looks dead. Its mouth was closed and its eyes. Its cheeks were sunken, its brow withered, and its chin sagging. If a man could live for 1,000 years and never die but just grow older, his face might come to look like that. The door opened its eyes, and they were white too, and blind. "Who are you?" the door asked, and the well whispered. Who? "I am the sword in the darkness," Samwell Tarly said. "I am the watcher on the walls. I am the fire that burns against the cold, the light that brings the dawn, the horn that wakes the sleepers. I am the shield that guards the realms of men." "Then pass," the door said. Its lips opened, wide and wider still, until nothing at all remained but a great gaping mouth in a ring of wrinkles. So after hearing that, I think it's pretty safe to assume that the gate will only open for a sworn brother of the Night's Watch. Also, it's my theory that a magic bond with the wall is only created if a Night's Watchman says his vows in front of a heart tree, like Sam did when he accompanied Jon. Just on a quick side note, as best I can tell, the BlackGate was forgotten by the Night's Watch until Cold Hands led Sam to it, which is just as well, because imagine if Mance Rayder, a former Night's Watchman, had known about it. He could have led a wildling force through, and things could have been quite different. So we all know that the wall was raised by Brandon the Builder to guard the realms of men from the others, aka White Walkers, and along with being an impressive physical barrier, it was infused with magic for this purpose. But believing they can't pass through the wall at all is proven to be incorrect. When the Night's Watch discovered the bodies of Otha and Jaffa Flowers, two of Benjen Stark's missing ranging party, beyond the wall, their dead bodies had no smell and blue eyes, meaning they had already been turned to whites at the time they were brought back through the wall. There's also the interesting tale of the Night's King, a legendary Lord Commander of the Night's Watch who lived during the Age of Heroes. He fell in love with a woman who was described as having skin as cold as ice and white as the moon, and eyes like blue stars. He brought her back to the Nightfort and declared himself king and her his queen, and they ruled there as his own castle for 13 years. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, the description of his bride fits perfectly as an other, and if she was brought back to the Nightfort, then she must have passed through the wall. It's my belief that although others and whites can't just pass through the wall of their own accord, they can be brought through by a brother of the Night's Watch, again specifically one who has said his vows in front of a heart tree and created that magical bond. I believe this is the main reason the Night's Watch kills deserters, because you can't run the risk of them turning cloak and allowing others to pass through the wall. It also might explain why Cold Hands killed the Night's Watch deserters at Craster's Keep. So what do you guys think? Did this all make sense? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe.